everyone. I'm Dr. Olena Berezovska, and I'm so happy to see a speaker from Norway, Nina Hanssen. Hi, Nina.
Hi, everybody.
As I promised, I bring into my podcast quite amazing people, unique people, and some popular, some known. And every my speaker, every my guest gives something new. As from practical point of view, from theoretical point of view, it doesn't matter. Every speaker is unique. And let me tell you a little bit about Nina, because she's a special guest. And when I read our correspondence and what we decided to discuss, and it's true that all of us have own personal stories, and we growing up on telling the stories. And your stories, how you became the author of books, the journalist, the marathon runner, the speaker, motivational speaker, and the mother of three children. It's all in one person, and many other achievements you have. And it started that you transformed your life in a different way, thanks to meeting some special people as well. And that's why, even if we decided to talk about flow, and it's an interesting topic in psychology, even in positive psychology, doesn't matter, in psychology, then actually I realized that we need to start from the point of your life transformation, how it started, why you became motivational speaker. And I know you have a lot to say. So welcome to my podcast, Nina. And
So much.
let's talk how it started.
Yes, thank you so much, and congrats on this great podcast. I'm also a member of IPPA, and I saw
Yes.
that you were asking people to join you in this podcast, and I think it's a brilliant idea, because what we do need is to talk to each other and communicate and get out all the good news from the positive psychology. And I believe that now, in this time we are living in, like in the augmented reality, because our kids are digital and we are in real life, and then we are combining this augmented reality. And I think, it's very important that we have like this open podcast that other people can understand, because, I believe that we actually can make a change in people's life, and people really are starving for more positive psychology. So, my story is I grew up in a very small fishing village up in the north of Norway.
And may I
Yeah.
interrupt you, because I read in your description of your book on Amazon that actually your biggest, you pay a big attention to communication. It says in your profile as an author. So when you said word communicate, thank you for mentioning this. And sorry for interruption. So let's go to your story.
No problem, because I think it's so important to communicate with each other, because in IPA and in this psychology atmosphere we are in, we are talking to each other, and we have brilliant research and we have brilliant founds, but we don't usually share it with the public. So that's why I think, it's really interesting what you do to have this open podcast that everybody can listen to, not even only practitioners and psychologists, but also, like journalists, like normal people, like the fisherman, the farmer in Norway. Everyone can actually listen to this podcast. So I think, that is the best thing you could do to start this podcast.
Thank you. So let's come back to your village where you were born.
Yes, I was born in nearby Trondheim, which is up north in Norway. And my father was a sailor, so I always dreamt about going out there and do something really useful for people. So I started planning my life to get out there. So I was studying social anthropology and history and a little bit of psychology. and also journalism, because I wanted to communicate. So I went to England to study journalism as well. And then at the end of my study, I went to Kenya for 2 years. So I worked in a Kenyan newspaper in East Africa. And then I went to the Middle East and I worked there as a freelance. And then I came back because I needed a man and some kids. And now I have 3 kids and I live here in Oslo in this sunny, beautiful day tonight.
Thank you.
That's my story.
And yes, but there is a very special meeting in your story. I know that even change your concentration of attention on different subject, not just communication, but you specializing in flow, the topic on the flow. So tell me about the special meeting, because I'm not gonna name the person you meet because I want to kind of like intrigue, right? But I know this is known American, Hungarian, actually American psychologist, and he's also very known author of a couple books. And that's, guess who this person is, who this guy is. Okay, so should we give a minute or whatever? No.
You
Let's
can
continue.
guess. But I
Yeah.
can give a clue, because it's all started with a click with Mr. Chick. And then we are into it, you know, Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, and people don't really know how to pronounce his name. So I usually say that you can think about a small chicken who sent you hi, Csikszentmihalyi. So
That's
then
exactly
everybody, also
how
listeners, know.
yes, that's exactly how I remember how to pronounce this. Very kind of for us English speaking and even Slavic speaking people, this long Hungarian name.
That's the algorithm, you know. And you know, on the 18th of May in 2010, I got a letter from Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, and he was from Hungary, as you said, and he lived in America for many years. And he's the architect of the motion of flow. And he actually encouraged me to write a book about flow as a tool to help people to navigate in this stressful modern everyday life. So I asked him, can we meet? Because I really want to meet physically with people. And I agreed to meet him in Copenhagen at the European Conference on Positive Psychology, just some months later after I received that letter. And it was a beautiful, beautiful evening. And it was midsummer night in Copenhagen. And we were walking from the town hall, from the conference, down to Nyhavn, where we were supposed to have dinner. And there I met Mihaly and his wife, Isabella Csikszentmihalyi. And we sat down and we shared a dinner. We had some wine and we were discussing the flow model, the original model, and also the new flow model that he invented and wrote in 2013. So, you know, I was very, very interested in this field. So we were making, on my notebook, we were drawing, you know, arrows, and he was writing in it. I still have that beautiful notebook. And then I remember in the middle of the conversation, we started arguing a lot because Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, he said that you women, you are so much concerned about everything, your children, your work, your home, and so on. So you don't really focus so much as the men. So he said to me, he believed that men had more and experienced more flow in their everyday life than women. And I say, I don't believe you, Csikszentmihalyi. And he said, yes, I think this is the right. And I said, no, I don't believe you. And then a lady from the table beside us called Antonella della Fave. She was a professor in flow too. And she said, you know, Csikszentmihalyi, you're my friend, but you are wrong. Nina, she's right. Because there's no research showing that women have less flow than men. So, and he was so engaged that actually the wine bottles was spilled all over the table. Wow. And then he actually took the wine and he just put it back into his glass and drank it. And then I thought, he's not a god, he's just a man like you and me. So that was the
It's
first
true.
meeting with Csikszentmihalyi.
I have his book, and I read this book, and I have with something I agree, with something I disagree, but it's normal to accept anybody's book with some pluses and minuses. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the flow, like what is the flow, or maybe like if you tell a continuation of this
Yeah.
meeting, of course, and how
Yeah.
you start writing about flow.
Yes, I met, also another Danish psychologist. His name was Frans Ørsted Andersen. And for the younger listeners, you probably know that he's the father of Mø, the artist who plays with Justin Bieber now. So he was also at the same table in Nyhavn at that midsummer night. And he said, Nina, are you a researcher or who are you? Because you are asking all the questions that researchers do. And I say, no, 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 I am not a researcher. I just want to write a book so that my friends, my female friends who was turning 40 should get out of the midlife crisis, because I wanted to give them a tool so they can come, increase and feel the flow and
Mhm.
also, develop, because only in flow you actually develop yourself, and that's where you are creative. So on the way home that evening, I actually shared a bicycle taxi with Frans Ørsted Andersen, and he said to me, why don't we write a book together? And I said, no, 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 this is a book for my friends. And he said, well, but maybe I can do it, because he has translated all Csikszentmihalyi's book, because he has written a lot of books to Danish. And so we made a deal before I went back to Norway. We shake hands and we say, let's start this cooperation. And that resulted in the book that you asked me about earlier. It's called Flow in Everyday Life,
Mhm.
Navigation Between Stress, Chaos, and Boredom. And that is the book where we actually interviewed a number of people who experienced a lot of flow in this stressful everyday life. And since then, I've been in flow not only with this research, but in everything I do in life. So I think, a lot of, as probably know, that Csikszentmihalyi, he died 20th of December in 2021. Unfortunately, we were very
Mhm.
sad about to learn about that. But the research and the application is now taking place all over the world.
Yes.
But I believe that IPA, and the flowchannel.com is the one collecting all the research. So it's really interesting to be part of that community and contribute. So I'm still working books and doing papers on flow. So
So
with France and without.
great. And by the way, I actually got a proposition from one Argentinian psychiatrist, not psychologist, to write a book about women mentality and physical health, mental and physical health, combining like science, combining data we have, and also having some education in psychology that I can use, like also this knowledge. And it was very interesting proposition. So I think I will take it and we'll start working from November. But
Oh, great,
yeah,
brilliant. You have
so
written 15 books. You are a
uh,
great person. You do so much.
yes, yeah, I know. And then I always like have ideas for new books. It's like if I have 48 hours, I probably write only books, but maybe not, because anyway, I like art, I like cooking, I like some other activities, traveling, and that's why I cannot just be in my computer now, because I don't have a typing machine anymore. But anyway, back to the flow. Many
Yeah,
people like hear this flow, flow, flow. Like, I mean, it's
yeah,
like swimming or what? Or you just like, you know. So I think you need to explain what actually flow is,
yeah,
what we
yeah.
mean when we say the flow, and all this kind of like a huge, I would say, a huge direction in psychology, especially positive psychology. So let's talk about the flow.
Yes, I mean, flow is the best thing I know, and it makes you happy, and also it makes you, develop. But we, in our book, we of course we have to have a definition in the beginning of the book, and in English. I mean, the book is in Danish and in Norwegian, but if I translate it, I will say flow is a positive and concentrational, demanding state of immersion where all attention is focused and maintained on a specific activity for a shorter or a longer time. And you don't think about anything other than the activity in itself. And it means that you actually lose the sense of time and yourself. And at the same time, there is a certain experience of mastery that you gain from this activity. So you come out happier person than you were before.
Wonderful.
That's
It's
more
beautiful.
little
Yeah,
definition.
it's a beautiful definition actually. The flow leads to comfort, to happiness, to flow of energy, to creation, and it's true because if we feeling like depression, like if we're depressed, or stressed, of course we can even say easily we don't feel the flow inside of us. It
No.
means flow of energy or emotions or feelings because we are stressed, we're depressed, we're going through some problem, and not just psychological problem, but could be physical problem, financial problem, whatever,
Yeah,
right?
all the problems. But
Yes.
it reduces all the negative stress, and we get
Mm-hmm.
like a better health, and
Mm-hmm.
we feel happier. So it's a win-win-win situation, is what I usually say.
Yes, and like when we talk about flow, do we have any techniques or something that we can increase the flow? How we work with this condition when we would like to have a better flow? It means better achievement and better psychological condition.
Yes, everybody is experience some kind of flow during their life. And maybe the first time you experience flow is when you're playing with your friends as a child, or your mother or father reads to you, or even better, when you start reading yourself, you go into a book and you forget about the time and yourself, and you just read. And flow can occur in all human activities, including even sex. I haven't had that for a long time. I'm in single, but even in communication, like we do now. So, flow can occur in any situation where people meet, or even if you are a musician, you can experience flow when you play the guitar. And if you're in a concert and you play and you are in flow, then the best thing is that the public who are attending that concert will also feel the flow, so they will go home with the same flow as the musician. And you said you're an artist, and the first research that Mihaly did was on artists and chess players, mountain climbers. And he saw that they just disappeared from this world. They went out in a different space, and they were completely absorbed with what they were doing, and they didn't even they forgot to eat, they forgot to go to the toilet, they forgot the loss of their life. Even if they were sick, they forgot about that. So it's so interesting to study this and to see the result. And I believe, we all need more flow in our everyday life. So I don't like make a definition of happiness, but in my life, to be in flow as much as I can during the day, that is happiness for me.
It's excellent words you said about happiness and the flow, because happiness is usually moments and moments of our life. And we can forget these moments. Some of them we would remember forever, and some of them we just forget. And I think you're right. It's more important to be in a flow of, and I think working with the flow is more important than search for happiness. And then
very, very, very nice. And you asked me about if it's any way of getting into flow, and we can say to the readers, you know, at least I can share what Csikszentmihalyi said about it, and I can also share some of the results that we saw after their working with the France. And Csikszentmihalyi, he said, you know, you should start up with having a clear goal. And I say, I mean, just make a big goal, you know, because I mean, even if you reach for, you know, the moon, you end up among the stars. So, you know, I go for a bigger goal. And then you need the inner motivation, of course, to do it, to get there. And then you have on the flow model, you have the balance between the challenge and, you know, the competence, and the things you do, your skills. So, you know, if you get like two big challenges and your skills are lower, then you get maybe stress and anxiety, and you become really stressed. And if you get smaller, you know, challenges like here, then you feel like you get bored. But in between, this is, you know, this is the thing. So if it's a match between the challenge and your skills, that is also a good way of getting there. And then you need simple rules, and maybe most important is that you get feedback. It's like chess players, you know, they play and they always know where they are in the game. And also like video games that my kids are playing. And so, you know, you have clear goals, you have clear rules. So that is easy. And then, of course, full concentration on the task. And this is really worrying me now in the time we are living, because we've seen, especially the young people, they are so dependent on their smartphone and the smart gadget that they can't even focus and concentrate for a long time. So, you know, this is, you know, the prerequisites that should be present to be able to get into the flow zone, according to Csikszentmihalyi.
I agree with you. And I actually came to the age when I stopped being afraid to plan a lot and want a lot, or like, you know, have different goals. Another moment, I came to the understanding that I cannot do everything at once. I cannot achieve everything at once. And that's why I shouldn't be upset if during the day I didn't made everything that was written in my plan. Like, you know, I didn't put the check marks, this is done, this is done. Of course, I'm writing down something important, do not forget. And also I realized, like, and I tell everyone, it doesn't matter how much of what we want, but in real life, you have to do something that probably will never give you a big pleasure. And because it's your duty to, like, now I'm preparing all papers for my accountant for 3 months. I wouldn't say it's a pleasure to waste time and sort it out. It's like, you know, receipts, print out all these documents. But I need to do this because I have to do them. I'm a businesswoman. I have a business, so I have to prepare. And then I realized, okay, I'll work as many hours as I can with all these boring papers, but then I'll switch to something that I enjoy. And then actually, this is how I work. So I try to balance something that I really don't want to have in my life, but I have to do it. I'm obliged to do that. And then at the same time, something that brings me pleasure. I'm like creation and writing, like whatever. And in this way, I found this balance and flow constantly. So whenever I work with something that doesn't bring me feelings of happiness or flow, but when I done this unpleasant part, then I feel satisfaction and happiness that this is done, even if I didn't like it. But I mean, I done it because I had to do this. And then I have this kind of like energy, and now I can do whatever I want. You have to enjoy your life, every minute of your life.
Of course. And thank you so much for sharing your story, you know. And it's also like for me, when I have a lot to do, because we have a lot to do and we have wants and we have needs. And, you know, we have to switch between, like you said. And when I am preparing a speech like this, I always find some activities where I can go in flow. I play the piano. I really love playing the piano. I sing. Sometimes I go for a run. I do like a little bit of marathon. I started doing that late in life. But I really enjoy going into the forest just to get the ideas, to get into that flow zone. And what is very important is that when you do these good flow things, even reading books, really like a literature that you really enjoy, actually gives you in condition that you are actually can do this task that is the must task even better. So when I'm very rushed and I'm stressed, I go and do all the flow things, because it's never ever wasted to be in flow, because it creates, playful feelings. You forget yourself, you forget about your sorrows, and you feel like more relaxed, and you get like this deep insight, and the problem solving is coming when you're doing this flow thing, even if you're actually not aware of being in flow
True.
when you
Yeah.
are in flow. So that's also very interesting. But I think, it does something with you when you are in flow. So when you are very busy, I said to people, why don't you actually find your own flow zone and know when you are in flow? Like I looked at myself, I'm a writer, but when do I write in flow? And I found out it's around midnight until 2 o'clock in the night. And that's crazy. I mean, you can't have a normal job if you are in that condition. But I think I had this habit when my children were young and they went to bed. I know they were safe. My husband went to bed and I was there, had a cup of tea, a nice cup of tea with a little bit of milk in it. And then when the clock was midnight, my fingers started dancing tango on the computer, and my I just wrote. I didn't know where it came from. I just knew that that is the time, and that is where I have to take the moment. If I have a big report or something I have to finish off tomorrow, then I have to wait. And then I could go and sleep in the evening just to wait for midnight to come, because I think we all have, some flow zone that we know about. I'm sure you also, you know what to do when you're coming into flow. And my advice is that you try to find, the activities, and when is it happening? Is it during day, in the midnight? Are you together with somebody, or are you alone? And always carry a notebook near you. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I do these lists that you also talked about, and I get ideas suddenly. The idea of that book or article or research pop into my mind, and sometimes in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock, I don't even turn the light on. I just grip my pen and I write, just so you don't lose the moment, because you have to, in working in creativity like we do, you have to be aware it can just come whenever you want. And if you don't know how to get it, just go out to the nature. I mean, we are lucky here in Norway. We have nature, we have fjords, we have mountains, we can go in the forest. And if you do that for maybe 15 minutes, you'll come back as a new person. It's like it's putting gas in your car, petrol in your body, like going out to the forest. It always works. So that's what we found in our research. Some of the things, we had like about 15 observation that we noticed with the people who find flow in the everyday life. But nature, that's a winner for sure.
Yeah, it's true. And I like nature, and I like traveling because it gives me like more energy, more pleasure. Even
Yeah.
if I'm busy, I know I have to put aside all work I have to do, but at the same time, it's like you go in and you have some uh, recharging of yourself with positive emotions. And I already planned to go in the beginning of November to Quebec City. I love this city. and it's my birthday. That's why we decided we spend a couple days in Quebec, because it gives a lot of positive emotions and feelings, and it would be the start for another flow and continue what I wanted to do, and will change a lot, because it's true that our life is the moment, like the mix of moments, and because it's mix of moments, mix of seconds, minutes, and then days and weeks and years. It could not be the same. It cannot be the same. So we have to understand that next minute could be different. Next hour could be completely different. But I usually say the bad things has to stop. It will be over. Like the dark like stripe of your life will be over. Then you get the white stripe. But I prefer not even white, black and white. I prefer like rainbow stripes. So you will have green one, you will have red one, but you will make your definition what means red or blue or whatever. And because life is colorful, if you just like stick to black and white, then it's, I guess, worse. But if you stick to rainbow colors of your life, then your life would be in rainbow colors, and each color is beautiful.
That's very beautiful said. You know, you are in flow. I can tell,
Oh,
because
yeah.
now the words are
Yeah.
coming, and that I notice very fast.
Yes.
I can share some of the founds that we actually did when we did this book about flow. And as you said, you know, positive attitude towards practice and training and learning about positive psychology and what it does with you. It's important. And also we found that variation is good. You know, you varied. If you can't write that article or that report in the cafe, why don't you go in the sun, in the forest? You vary. And then you also mentioned traveling, you know, working on a bus or on a train, on the boat, or even in the airport. I always get very inspired by seeing all the people in the airport. And another one is being in the nature that we talked about. And then clicking. Actually, that's you click with somebody, then something magic happens, you know, and it's a combination between sociology and psychology. And it's you click with somebody. You probably clicked with your best friend, or you know, your husband, or you know, some of your closest friend. You click with somebody. So that is some of the findings from our flow book.
Thank you very much for these tips, and they are really practical and simple to do, to follow. And again, I just would like to tell everyone who's watching us and who watching this podcast that my guest is Nina Hanssen from Norway, and wonderful speaker and author and journalist and a person as well. And thank you, Nina, for joining me today. And if you need more information about Nina, it's just scroll down to information about the video. You'll have all links. And by the way, you can find book on Amazon.com. It's for people who are watching us from North America and also Canada. Thank you, Nina, very much. And I'm sure we'll meet again to discuss some other topics regarding flow and everything that relates to flow. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. Have a nice, beautiful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.